The spoilers are upon us, brothers and sisters of the Imperium. The End and the Death, Part 3, has gone on sale in some certain bookshops in Canada. Image in the background for proof right now. People have gone in, they've bought the book, they've read the book already, and we're starting to see some absolutely huge spoilers hitting the internet. Now, this is not going to be a full spoiler breakdown. This is going to be like an initial spoiler breakdown going off some of the stuff I've seen online. But of course, this video is going to contain huge spoilers for the End of the Death Part 3. The end of the Horus, the Emperor arc, the story, the Siege of Terror, the Hours Heresy. It's all going to be spoken about in this video. So if you don't want to be spoiled, this is your first and only warning. Turn back now or forever be damned in the Emperor's eyes. Now, these spoilers are coming from Bolter and Chainsword from a user called Timmer. I'll include his link in the description of the video in case you want to go read it for yourself. But of course, I'm going to read from that post right now. So let's start with the big thing. Timmy states, the Emperor and Horus meet about 100 pages in, and the death blow isn't delivered until 400 pages in. The Emperor takes so much damage. There's way more in their fight than what he's describing here, but it'll take a while to write that out. And then we go into the main spoilers. Starting off with one of the main spoilers, we get a chapter with Perturabo seething in his room about the siege, justifying his retreat, and he thinks it's hinting at him taking the path to demonhood. We get a chapter with Lorgar in exile on the other side of the galaxy, living on a low-tech world obsessed with divination. You need a dictionary for this one, he states. Lorgar is mostly trying to divine what's happening in the siege. The chapter is pretty wholesome until it ends on a nice, subtle, dark note that you expect with the word bearers. Gilliman's fleet is desperately trying to locate Terror or make contact with any loyalist. All realizes the broken athame in his pocket was fixed when the Emperor mended Grammaticus and him in the previous book. He realizes he has to go back to the Emperor as he'll need the athame in his fight with Horus. The Emperor wipes out an entire company of word bearers with one psychic blast on the route to Horus. It really shows his power level, it states. Also Horus's power level, given how he treats the Emperor in their fight. And then we get on to the big one, the Emperor and the Horus having their duel. It says, when Horus and the Emperor face off, the Emperor only says, "You have killed my son." And then, why? Horus tries to respond, saying he offered Sanguinius a place at his side, but then realizes that the Emperor isn't talking about Sanguinius. He's talking about Horus, and he's talking to the Chaos Gods watching the conflict from the shadows behind him. The Chaos Gods are there watching the fight the entire time, but they don't have any lines. They're just enjoying the show, and then in brackets, until they aren't. Sigismund, Keeler, and the caravan of refugees that they've been gathering through the wastelands of the siege make their way to the Hollow Mountain where the Dark Angels are working on the Astronomicon. She leads her followers in prayer, which then helps the Dark Angels librarians with their work. The Emperor must live. The Emperor is mankind, and mankind is the Emperor, is what they chant. They end up restarting the Astronomicon, and Battlefleet Solar and the rebooted Gilliman's Battlefleet fire up and make for Terror because they've located now the Astronomicon signal. They then have a huge battle and end up fighting off Typhus here as well. We then go back to the battle of the Emperor and Alunius Pius, and John Grammaticus open a portal back to the Emperor, who is now badly wounded and unconscious on the ground at this point after Horus's onslaught. They show up right in front of Horus, Terrified, John speaks a word of Annuncia that blasts Horus back, and then All sends John away to complete the red ribbon tying task. All puts the anaphane in the Emperor's hand and pleads for him to wake up. Horus starts to make his way over, so All puts his las rifle on full auto and fires on Horus until he's obliterated by a Talon swipe. Loken then turns up and convinces Horus that he's won, and he doesn't need the power of chaos anymore, and he should throw all that away and give it up so he is not enslaved to it. Horus, hearing this, actually does it, and the Emperor sees this as his last chance. The Emperor is empowered by the prayers, and Horus is tormented by the whispers of the Emperor must live. He frantically tries to gather back the chaos powers he gave up, and they begin the final phase of the battle. Still somewhat clear of mind, Horus then realizes he was just an instrument of chaos and silently pleads with his father for mercy to end him now if possible before the chaos fully powers him up again and he is truly lost. The Emperor says, "I wait for you and I forgive you." He then stabs Horus in the heart with the Athane, killing him. The Emperor then drops at this point with all his energy spent, and Valdo and Dawn finally arrive to find Loken kneeling over him. The Blood Angels show up too, and they call for a teleport to bring everyone back to Terra. Dawn then also recovers Ferrus Manus' skull from the vengeful spirit. Lee too founds a tarot card next to the Emperor called the Throne, so that is where they will take him. Just as the teleport is about to start, Loken says he's staying behind to hold vigil over his father's corpse. Later then, Abaddon and two other sons of Horus arrive. The others want to kill Loken, but Abaddon stops them. Loken pleads for him to surrender and asks for mercy and says he'll speak to Dawn on their behalf. But Abaddon is taking the vengeful spirit and going his own way to be his own boss. It seems like Loken and Abaddon will part peacefully when possibly the worst Erebus moment ever happens as he shows up out of nowhere and stabs Loken in the back, killing him. Abaddon is not pleased, but refrains from killing Erebus, who then goes to explain that demons aren't born. They're created by horrible things like this, and Loken's murder is what creates Samus, completing the cycle. Malcador is still alive at this point because it states from Malcador's perspective, we see Dawn and the Custodes bring the Emperor to the throne. Malcador says it will sustain the Emperor and he will sustain it, but he'll be stuck between life and death forever in agony, and it's probably better that Dawn and the others don't know that. It then says right at the end, we get a scene with John Grammaticus in humanity's past, tying a red ribbon and using one of Sanguinius' feathers in place of an Athane to open portals, which is bizarre in itself. The book ends with Keela holding up her arms in the praise of the Emperor. Foe has built his bioweapon that is stored away for future plot points, and Araman helped explain tarot cards in the library. And there you have it, the first big spoiler plot points from the End and the Death Part 3. Again, this has been posted over on Bolt and Chainsword. I'd literally just read from that. Link in the description. I'm going to be doing my full spoiler review for this next week when I get the book, when I get my Audible and stuff like that. I pre-ordered them both. Cannot wait to get them. There's some absolutely wild things in here, which is, of course, got to go into the, well, I think the Scouring series, which is probably going to be announced sometime this year because I've been hearing rumors that it is happening and the Scouring series is the next big thing happening at Black Library. But I'll leave it to you, chaps. What are your thoughts, feedback on the stuff that you've just heard? I'd love to see it down below in the comment section. Post it down there and we can have a nice little chin wag as we always do. See ya, have a great day, and bye-bye.